The decoy dance. The Keltharian battleship Scythe of Glory prowled through the nebula like a sleeping leviathan awakening from ancient dreams. Its massive form, stretching over 3 kilometers from bow to stern, was the embodiment of the Empire's philosophy: overwhelming force, uncontestable dominance, and absolute authority. Commander Zarthek stood at the center of the bridge, his 6 eyes fixed on the tactical hologram floating before him. His chromium-plated exoskeleton reflected the bridge's ambient light as he flexed his primary claws in anticipation. For 3 solar cycles, he had been hunting a ghost, a human stealth frigate that had dared to operate in Keltharian space. Lord Commander, called Subofficer Creel from the detection station, his secondary appendages dancing across the crystalline controls. I believe I've isolated an energy pattern consistent with human technology. Quadrant 7 Alpha, bearing 221. Zarthex's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Finally, the prey reveals itself, all stations to combat readiness, deploy interdiction fields. The Scythe of Glory surged forward, its massive engines creating ripples in the nebula's gaseous soup. Around it, smaller Keltharian destroyers formed a hunting pack, their sleek forms cutting through space with predatory grace. Contact confirmed, Lord Commander, Creel announced. Human vessel identified, frigate class. It appears to be operating at minimal power, possibly damaged. Excellent, these humans overestimate their stealth capabilities. Prepare boarding pods. I want that ship and its technology intact for the Emperor's collection. 3,000 kilometers away, safely cloaked behind layers of interference and false readings, Captain Juliette Voss observed the approaching Keltharians through the holographic display of the Shadow Pike. Her stealth frigate was barely a 20th the size of the Scythe of Glory, but what it lacked in bulk, it more than made up for in sophistication. "They've taken the bait, Captain," reported Lieutenant Marcus Frost from the tactical station, his fingers flying across haptic interfaces. "The decoy drone is broadcasting perfectly. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see." Voss nodded, her weathered face betraying no emotion. 20 years in the Deep Space Navy had taught her that patience won more battles than brute force. Status on the Mirage Protocol. "All systems green," replied Chief Engineer Amara Patel, her voice carrying the distinct accent of the Bangalore colonies. "We're projecting a perfect image of a disabled frigate. Heat signature, radiation leakage, even a false life support failure. If I didn't know better, I'd think we were dying out here myself." "Good work, Chief." Voss turned to her communications officer, Ensign David Kim. "Any chatter from their fleet?" "Standard boarding protocols, ma'am. They're confident it's an easy capture. No sign they suspect the trap." Voss allowed herself a small smile. The Mirage Protocol had been 3 years in development, the product of humanity's finest minds working to counter the Keltharian technological advantage. It created a complete false image of a ship while the real vessel operated under perfect stealth, a ghost within a ghost. "All hands, this is the captain," she announced over the shipwide comm. "We're about to make history. The Keltharians believe they're about to board a crippled frigate. Instead, they're going to learn why you don't corner humanity." Battle stations, silent running protocols in effect. The Shadow Pike hummed with suppressed energy as its true systems came online. Quantum field generators, plasma lance batteries, and gravitic mine dispensers, all invisible to Keltharian sensors, powered up in perfect synchronization. On the bridge of the Scythe of Glory, Commander Zarthex watched as his boarding craft approached the human vessel. The frigate appeared dead in space, its running lights flickering weakly, atmosphere venting from what appeared to be multiple hull breaches. "Pathetic," he scoffed. "These humans dare to challenge the Keltharian Empire with such fragile vessels. Launch the boarding pods. Secure their bridge and engineering sections first." "Lord Commander," Subofficer Creel suddenly tensed at his station. "I'm detecting an anomaly in their power signature. It's fluctuating beyond expected parameters. Residual damage from whatever crippled them. Proceed with the boarding." 3 Keltharian boarding craft latched onto what they believed was the human frigate's hull. Their sensors showed standard human alloys, consistent with all known designs. The boarding parties extended their cutting tools, preparing to breach. "When passed through empty space." "Impossible," Zarthex roared as the truth became clear. "It's a projection." Captain Voss watched the confusion unfold with clinical detachment. "Drop the Mirage. All weapons fire at will, target their engines and weapon systems, show them what the Shadow Pike really is." The false image of the dying frigate shimmered and disappeared, revealing empty space where the Caltharians had been attempting to board. Simultaneously, the true shadow pike unveiled itself in all its lethal glory, positioned perfectly on the side of Glory's vulnerable flank. Plasma lances, invisible until the moment of firing, carved through the battleship's shields with surgical precision. Gravitic mines, pre-deployed during the approach, detonated in sequence, creating localized gravity wells that tore at the scythe of Glory's structural integrity. "Return fire," Zarthex commanded, but his weapons officers were in chaos. Their targeting systems, designed to track energy signatures and physical mass, found nothing to lock onto. The human vessel seemed to exist in a quantum state of uncertainty, neither fully present nor absent from their sensors. "Their weapons are offline," Lieutenant Frost reported calmly. "Main engines disabled, life support stable, but shields are failing." "Open a channel," Voss ordered. When the viewscreen activated, she saw Commander Zarthex, his exoskeleton now dull with stress, his 6 eyes wide with disbelief. "Commander Zarthex of the Caltharian Empire," Voss began, her voice steady and clear. "I am Captain Juliet Voss of the Earth Deep Space Navy. Your vessel is disabled, your boarding parties are scattered, and your fleet is unable to track my ship. I suggest you consider your next actions very carefully." This is impossible," Zarthex stammered, his translator struggling to keep up with his agitation. "The Caltharian Empire has conquered 100 worlds. We have technology beyond your comprehension." "Technology, yes," Voss agreed. "But you lack imagination. You see the universe in terms of size and power. We see it in terms of possibilities and adaptation. Your empire has grown complacent, Commander. Today is just the beginning of your education." She gestured to Lieutenant Frost. "Send the data package to command. Inform them that the Mirage Protocol exceeded all expectations. And tell them," she added, her eyes never leaving Zarthex's bewildered face, "that the Shadow Pike is ready for Operation Ghostlight." As the communication channel closed, Voss turned to her crew. "Prepare for stealth departure. Leave them alive but immobile. Their confusion will spread faster than we ever could." The Shadow Pike vanished once more into the depths of the nebula, leaving behind a crippled battleship and the shattered confidence of an empire that had just discovered it was no longer the apex predator in this cosmic ocean. In the vast expanse of space, where empires rise and fall like cosmic tides, the rules of engagement had just been rewritten by a species that refused to play by the old rules. The Caltharian Empire had struck first, but humanity had ensured they would not strike last. As the Shadow Pike disappeared into the void, its crew knew that this was only the beginning. The decoy had danced, the trap had sprung, and now the real war could begin, a war not of brute force against force, but of human ingenuity against imperial arrogance. The age of the stealth cruiser had dawned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The turning tide. The Earth Deep Space Command Bunker, buried 3 kilometers beneath the surface of New Geneva Station, buzzed with controlled activity. Holographic displays filled the war room with star maps, ship movements, and tactical readouts. At the center of it all stood Admiral Nathaniel Akoro, his dark skin gleaming under the artificial lights as he processed the latest intelligence reports. "Admiral," called Commander Sophia Lee from the Strategic Analysis Station, "we've received confirmation from the Shadow Pike. The Mirage Protocol was 100% effective. The Caltharian battleship never suspected the deception until it was too late." Akoro's weathered face creased into a rare smile. "Voss came through as always. What's the status of our other stealth frigates?" "The Steel Whisper is in position near the Caltharian supply depot at Proxima Junction. The Night Stalker has penetrated their fleet formations in the Orion Reach. And the Silent Dawn reports successful deployment of quantum beacons along their major shipping lanes." "Excellent." Akoro turned to face the main tactical display. "Begin Phase 2. Light years away, in the crystalline throne room of the Caltharian capital world, Emperor Karazoth the Eternal received the news of the Scythe of Glory's humiliation. His massive form, encased in ceremonial battle armor that had not seen actual combat in centuries, trembled with rage. "A single human vessel," he thundered, his voice causing the chamber's crystal walls to resonate. "A single vessel disabled one of our finest battleships." War Minister Thanix bowed low, his 6 eyes carefully averted from the Emperor's wrath. "Your Magnificence, our analysis suggests the humans have developed a technology we cannot detect. Our sensors show nothing until the moment they strike." Find them, Karazoth commanded. Deploy the entire Third Fleet. I want these human gnats crushed. But as the Caltharian Empire mobilized its vast military might, they found themselves chasing shadows. The stealth frigates appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking critical targets with surgical precision before vanishing without a trace. Captain Juliet Voss stood on the bridge of the Shadow Pike, reviewing the operation's progress with satisfaction. The Caltharian response had been exactly as predicted, overwhelming force blindly striking at empty space while the real threats remained invisible. Captain, Lieutenant Frost reported, we're receiving encrypted transmissions from the other frigates. All report successful missions. The Caltharians are in complete disarray. Time for the knockout blow, Voss declared. Signal the fleet, initiate Operation Phantom Storm. Across the sector, 12 stealth frigates, the entire complement of humanity's new Shadow Fleet, converged on the Caltharian staging area at Gamma Persei. The massive space station, home to the Third Fleet's command structure, bristled with enough firepower to obliterate a small moon. But all that firepower was useless against an enemy that couldn't be seen. Deploy quantum resonance disruptors, Voss ordered. Create false signatures across the entire grid. Suddenly, Caltharian sensors detected hundreds of human vessels appearing simultaneously throughout the system. Their defensive batteries opened fire, energy beams and missiles lancing through space at phantom targets, while the real stealth frigates moved into position. The Shadow Pike led the attack, its plasma lances targeting the station's shield generators with pinpoint accuracy. The Steel Whisper followed, releasing swarms of nanite missiles that bypassed point defense systems by appearing as space debris until the moment of impact. On the station's command deck, Admiral Vorjak watched helplessly as his mighty fortress came under attack from enemies he couldn't see or track. "This is impossible," he roared. "Our technology is superior. The Caltharian Empire has ruled for millennia." "Sir," his tactical officer reported, panic evident in his translator's output, "I'm detecting critical failures across all systems. The humans, they're inside our network. They've been here all along." The truth hit Vorjak like a physical blow. While the Empire had focused on building bigger ships and more powerful weapons, humanity had chosen a different path. They developed technologies that made traditional warfare obsolete, stealth systems that bent space-time, quantum computers that could infiltrate any network, and artificial intelligences that could predict military movements with uncanny accuracy. "All commands, this is Emperor Karazoth," came the transmission to every Caltharian vessel in the sector. "Retreat to the home system, consolidate our defenses, these humans." The transmission cut off as the Gamma Persei station's main reactor went critical. The stealth frigates had already moved to safe distance, their crews watching as the pride of the Caltharian military became the galaxy's most expensive firework display. 3 months later, Captain Voss stood before the United Earth Assembly, the highest governing body of human civilization. The chamber, filled with representatives from every colony and orbital habitat, fell silent as she began her report. "Distinguished members," she began, "the Caltharian Empire has withdrawn from all disputed territories. Their expansion has halted and their military doctrine, unchanged for centuries, has collapsed in the face of our asymmetric warfare capabilities." President Alina Reyes nodded from her position at the center of the assembly. "And what of their threats of retaliation?" "Empty posturing," Voss replied. "They're rebuilding their entire military structure from the ground up, trying to develop counter-stealth technologies. By the time they succeed, if they succeed, we'll be 2 generations ahead again." The assembly erupted in applause, but Voss raised her hand for silence. "We must remain vigilant. The Caltharians believed their technological superiority made them invincible. We cannot make the same mistake." In the depths of space, the Shadow Pike continued its patrol, one of many invisible guardians protecting humanity's expanding sphere of influence. The Caltharian Empire, once feared across 100 star systems, had learned a painful lesson about the dangers of arrogance. From his command throne aboard the retreating Imperial flagship, Emperor Karazoth stared at tactical displays showing the new borders of his diminished empire. "How?" he asked his advisors. "How did we not see this coming?" War Minister Thanix, one of the few who had survived the purges following the defeat, chose his words carefully. "Your Magnificence, we saw only what we expected to see. The humans didn't build bigger weapons, they built smarter ones. They didn't meet our strength with strength, they made our strength irrelevant." Zan now your magnificence we learn or we die. As the Caltharian fleet limped back to their home system, humanity's stealth frigates watched from the shadows. The war wasn't over, it had merely changed form. But for the first time in recorded history, the Caltharian Empire was on the defensive, forced to adapt or face extinction. Captain Juliet Voss, standing on the bridge of the Shadow Pike, understood the weight of what they'd accomplished. They hadn't just won a battle or even a war. They'd changed the very nature of galactic conflict. Set course for the next patrol sector, she ordered. And remember, we're not conquerors, we're guardians. The Caltharians attacked first, but will ensure they think very carefully before attacking anyone again. The Shadow Pike vanished into the depths of space, leaving no trace of its passage save for the profound shift in galactic power that its crew had helped to engineer. In the vast cosmic ocean where empires rose and fell, humanity had proven that intelligence and adaptability could triumph over brute force and tradition. The age of the dreadnought was over. The age of the ghost ship had begun.